All right, we are back, getting ready to go into game number 2 of DesRow versus Yoshi. And we are playing up through the semifinals of today, and we've been informed that this is going to be our last match for today. So this could be our last game if DesRow is able to clean it up, but if Yoshi comes back and is able to go to game number 3, this is a best of 3, so there is that chance. And we've actually seen a couple matches today that have gone that far.
And let's remind everybody that the winner of this game is going to move into the semifinals. So they are, guaranteed to do pretty well. I think that there's money guaranteed at that point.
Yep.
So a lot on the line for both of these players.
It is going to be pretty awesome. There's a lot of people out here, as you've seen, a lot of people walking past. We're at Youmacon in Detroit, Michigan, 2014 StarCraft 2. This is the second year Gallegation and I have been here doing this. If you've been hanging out with us today and you've enjoyed what you've seen, go on out to Twitter and go to @WingNetSC and @Gallegation. Give us a follow, as we cover a lot of cool events around here, both locally, regionally, and in the U.S. and NA as far as other things.
And if you're going to Twitter, while you're there, you might as well just tweet @Youmacon_gaming. Let them know that you enjoyed the show and that you're grateful that they're putting on an SC2 tournament. And @MythLogic for sponsoring the tournament and providing some prize money and some prizes for our competitors. Just showing appreciation to these people that are putting forth the money and allowing these things to happen, allows these events to continue and esports to continue to thrive.
Yep. Just asking if our players are ready. DesRow has said go. Good luck, have fun. Waiting for Yoshi to agree to that proposition. He's sitting right to my left here. I can see him. He's got some very nice blonde hair. I couldn't understand what he said he was dressed up as, but it's quite the getup he's got going on there. A lot of really awesome cosplay we've seen this weekend. He's ready. All right, so we're going to get going.
All right.
Yeah, probably the coolest thing about Youmacon for me is that it's on Halloween. I love Halloween, first of all. And also, cosplay and Halloween just lining up, I think it makes people dress up all that much more because they're getting all their stuff ready for Halloween anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool to just sit and, people called me creeper earlier, but it's just cool to sit and just people watch and just see. There are so many people out here and so many costumes and stuff that have put so much effort, time, and money into. It's really awesome. But the thing we're here to focus on is game number 2 of DesRow versus Yoshi. Moving on in the upper right-hand corner, the pink Terran. Having lost the last match, trying to come back again, it is Yoshi.
And in the bottom left-hand corner, the winner of game number 1, trying to take a 2-0 victory over his opponent, it is DesRow.
So DesRow really kind of finding and exploiting Yoshi's weaknesses last game. I think he's probably going to do something very similar this game because it seems like Yoshi has a very static playstyle. I mean, it's not a secret if you have watched any of these events before or seen the VODs. A fairly static playstyle. He does have some changes that he makes to it, whether he gets a few Marines early or not, or gets the Reaper, or goes for a lot of Hellions for those runarounds. But I think DesRow is playing a little bit more close to the chest as far as not leaving those openings for the Hellions to get in, because that's where he did the most damage in previous matches against his opponents. And then also just the huge amount of vision that he has.
Yeah, DesRow was really on top of anything that left Yoshi's base. He didn't really let anything go by unseen. And that it really makes it hard as the Terran player to get a whole lot done in terms of drop play or Hellion run buys or things like that. So I think that Yoshi needs to be able to secure his perimeter a little bit better than he's been able to. But we'll see how he plays out in game number 2.
Yeah, it looks like he's kind of doing the very similar thing. You get a gas going down here before the barracks, which would typically be a Reaper play, but normally he doesn't do that. But he has, I believe he did last game. He didn't get a whole lot done with the Reaper. He was able to, DesRow was kind of able to keep the Reaper busy as I go ahead and put up the score here.
So the probe is coming in now, is going to see something coming out of that barracks. And is going to be able to see that gas, too. So it's kind of up for grabs what it's going to be. The probe is not going to be getting out of there. He does switch, actually, that Marine into a Reaper instead. So he's going to be chasing down that probe to get it killed.
Yeah, and this is, as we saw in game number 1, Yoshi kind of built his barracks back a little farther and made his wall more out of supply depots. And this time changing it up a little bit to try and keep that probe in his base. I think maybe that's he's trying to hide in the shadow down here. Maybe it makes him feel a little bit more comfortable because that probe gets the scouting done, gets out, and then it can build proxy stuff around the map, which actually DesRow did last time. If he can keep it confined and get it killed, then he's maybe feeling a little better, which he has done here. So now that Reaper is out, is probably going to head his way across the map to do a little bit of scouting. But in DesRow's base, nothing too crazy going on. We got a Mothership core out with a Gateway and a Cybernetics core. Only one gas so far.
There was an engineering bay block by Yoshi, and he did some pretty fancy micro to keep the SCV working on it while at very low health. But ultimately, the SCV was killed off, and it had to be canceled, so that Nexus is in production now.
Now Yoshi going back and building his factory and command center. This is fairly common for him, doing it every single time, although he is making a decent number of Marines once again, as he did last game, as he has them being produced 2x2 out of that barracks here. Going to be looking to set up his expansion a little bit quicker than he does sometimes, as he uses those Marines and the early tanks out of the factory to defend that a little bit. But it looks like DesRow is still just kind of hanging around at home. He's got his Mothership core patrolling out the front of his natural expansion, as well as the Zealot patrolling up on the cliff to try and make sure that Reaper doesn't get in and do any or too much damage.
Yeah, and there's not really a whole lot of opportunity for the Reaper to get in. There's like, it's double high on the majority of places that you can access the main base. So he's really got to jump in right where that Mothership core is, and then jump in right where that Zealot was. So now they're moving forward to try.
Oh, this Reaper is not going to survive to see another day. Nice surround there by DesRow. Is able to get the Stalker out in front so that it can't run away. So no scouting was done this day. If we look at the vision of Yoshi, he has not gotten any additional vision since he was in the first time with his SCV to get the initial scout. And it looks like Robo is about to finish up, as well as Warp Gate. So this is looking fairly similar to last time. At this point, we were starting to see a probe kind of move around to go to that proxy location to put down the proxy Twilight Council. No such shenanigans so far. We do have a Zealot here out in the middle, but that's about it. The Hellions of Yoshi, however, are out on the map. 2 Stalkers here. Would not prevent them from getting in and doing a little bit of damage, but we'll see what Yoshi can get done with these.
There are 2 mines just now finishing up as well. Or one of them did. The second one is on its way.
Ooh, these Hellions would certainly prevent this probe from building whatever it was planning on doing down here.
Indeed.
Looks
so
like
Observer is heading across the map now, trying to see what it can find over there. And I think that this is just going to be one of many that are going to be trying to keep Yoshi paired into his base.
Looks like these Stalkers were able to take out one of the Hellions that was patrolling the front here, as we did see some parts on the ground. The other is going to be hanging around just to kind of make it a little bit more difficult to put down a third base, so he has actually sent some units out with it. Observer going to be flying into the base of Yoshi, but there is a Raven here, so it is going to be revealed, but he does get in far enough to see that there is a tech lab on that starport, and it is producing, but there's a Raven on the field, so it's not a guarantee necessarily that it's a Banshee, because Cloak is not being produced.
2 more Hellions are on their way across the map, accompanied by a Widow Mine, who's making his way over as well.
I feel like as we get to this stage of the day, we're both kind of going to the easy listening kind of castings out. And the Hellions kind of moving across the map, and it's going to be going into the potential third base of DesRow, and it's like the put you to sleep kind of casting is, especially after some of these Yoshi games. They're pretty tiring, but I can't imagine for the players. But the Hellions are going to get in, and 4 probes immediately get vaporized, with a couple more that are getting pretty low. Probes kind of, now a couple stacking up there. Was able to get 8 total probe kills. So this is more like what Yoshi wants to do with those kind of Hellions, and what we've seen him do in previous games. So that is going to leave the probe count at 40, while he's still only at 33 SCVs. But with the mules, he does still have an income advantage. It's actually insane how much of an income advantage. Every time I look at this, how much of an income advantage Terran has with a lower number of SCVs, and how valuable those orbital commands are when you get it up so fast.
They really are very valuable, which is why I think Yoshi gets 2 of them so quickly to keep those mules going.
Absolutely. And DesRow here, just like he did last game, keeping up really close on his upgrades. +1/+1 is underway, as well as the Twilight Council. I'm wondering if we're going to see some DT play once again, as there's a pylon here down in the lower side, but there is no probe near it to build anything. There's a probe here up in the left-hand corner as well. DesRow once again doing a good job spreading his units around, using Hallucinated Phoenix. Ooh, just staying outside the range of that mine there.
Yeah, so he's still going to be able to get a decent amount of scouting done. There is the Observer still in the main base, so he's seeing pretty much everything that's coming out production-wise from these Terran buildings.
It's like the Raven, Banshee, and Viking are all on patrol here, and the Raven is like constantly playing a match of tag with these two, just patrolling back and forth. But Yoshi definitely does, we were talking about the income differential. I think that's really important for his build, is he does get a large number of in-base orbital commands, and then once he feels safe and comfortable, then ends up moving them out. But DesRow, like we said, also keeping up on the upgrades. He has double upgrades coming down, and he is chrono boosting them as fast as he can to get those out. And Immortal production has started here, has one on the field with Zealot Charge, so gonna skip the DTs this time and go straight for the High Templar.
Those Hellions do make their way back home, and they're just kind of hanging out with the tanks. So not a whole lot going out on the field there for Yoshi. He's got a mine hanging out at the Xel'Naga Tower, just kind of holding it, not really defending it.
Yeah, at least it's not burrowed, so it does actually hold the tower. Now he's lifting up his command center, moving it out to the third base. This is a pretty hard one to defend. Game previously earlier today, he was not able to hold it, as it is kind of a ways away and makes it a little bit more difficult for an army such as his to be able to defend that, but also it does sort of attack angle up in his main base this way. But looks like DesRow's going to be moving out a little bit with the same type of force he used last game to just kind of keep Yoshi pinned back. This is a lot of Hellions, so it can't really do a ton to a Immortal-centric army like this. So it looks like DesRow's kind of setting up for the same kind of thing. He does have +2/+2 on the way, as well as Storm. So the Storm is definitely turns out to be pretty fruitful as well as last game. Looks like DesRow needs to pause for just a moment, but you know, lots of. It's just very interesting going from two different types of players here to see the various things that they do against a known strategy.
Yeah. And it looks like Yoshi's actually leading in the supply by about 30 right now.
Yeah, it looks like, okay, looks like DesRow's about ready, so we're going to get back going here as soon as everyone agrees on being ready. Ready. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Here we go, back in the game. DesRow transferring all his probes to his third base, but as I was saying, you know, it's interesting to see how Yoshi has changed his playstyle a little bit too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But still not a whole lot of moving out aggressively on the map. I think he's realized that he's been losing a lot more Hellions than he's been getting done, so he doesn't want to be too aggressive with them. But now DesRow's just got, I mean, he's got getting these bases up. He's on the 3 bases pretty heartily, not without any resistance. And Yoshi's able to get up this third base as well, but it doesn't seem as secure.
Yeah, vehicle weapons level 1 is just now finishing. +2/+2 is finishing for DesRow, so a little bit of an upgrade advantage here for DesRow. However, he is being a little bit less aggressive this game. By this point, he had multiple drops out with the Warp Prism, DTs all over the place. He's kind of letting Yoshi play his game right now, and I'm interested to see how that turns out. And this is the exact same kind of Death Force we saw take out. Can't remember his name now. So many names going around, but the last Protoss that Yoshi faced with all of these Hellbats in the tanks. These Hellbats just tank so well against these Immortals that do a lot of damage to mech units, which technically the Hellbats aren't a mech unit. So, and the amount of damage they do is really kind of amplified against the Immortals. But Yoshi, this is almost like an instant replay of game number 3 of the last series he was in.
Oh no, here come the High Templars though, and those are ready for action as DesRow's army is kind of grouped together here. There is some damage going down on that warp gate, and that goes down.
It's a medevac trying to sneak its way out towards the main base of DesRow, which is really going to peel him around, and he took his entire army back to deal with this, and he's going to go ahead and land that. There are 2 Hellbats in there, which is allowing Yoshi to kind of move up here into the third base a little bit more safely, but the Templar coming through, and all the Hellbats are clumped up right here. Is there going to be a huge storm? Oh my God,
goodness.
The Hellbats do so much damage. I think, what, 3 or 4 of the Templar went down right there.
Very quickly went down. Archon's coming up from behind, so this is kind of sandwiched here, and now Storm's going down. We do see those point defense drones, but there's not really a whole lot that they can nullify.
Yeah, Hellbat's doing a bit of damage there to that Archon eventually, but the Immortals end up being the victor of the day. That was a pretty scary engagement there, but I mean, Yoshi has lost about 600 to 700 more resources than DesRow, so I mean, it's not terribly imbalanced right now as long as Yoshi's been producing back at home, which he has. Still fairly even, but DesRow now does feel the opportunity to come out and start moving towards the third base here of Yoshi, and he's probably going to be able to get quite a bit done here. Again, this is going to make Yoshi feel pretty uncomfortable having to move out of his base to try and defend this. But still, just the Immortals getting the job done here. 2 SCVs killed so far, so not a ton. There is one Raven trying to make his way back. Yoshi pulling SCVs as he feels he needs to do that to deal with this, but the tanks taking out those Zealots.
Yeah, and he pulled those SCVs back just in time, frankly, to not lose a lot of them. But there's that hallucinated Phoenix just kind of poking things around there.
Yeah, getting the job done. But Yoshi did load up some things, unconfirmed things.
Hellions.
4 Hellions into a medevac. He's going to be flying those over to DesRow's base to keep doing a little bit of poking as he feels like most of his army is out here, which it is. You know, DesRow still doesn't feel quite comfortable moving up in there, so he's going to try and swing around the 3rd base, which Yoshi is appropriately repositioning. And you know, he's getting done what he wants to do. He wants to make these little walls to keep these Zealots back, which he's doing. DesRow, however, going to move to take out the rocks here, and man, those Immortals take down those rocks fast.
Yeah, they really do.
Tanks take out a Templar. DesRow did just have a +3/+3 finish, so that is kind of a big deal. +2 attack for the vehicles has finished now for Yoshi as well.
So 2 Immortals are loaded up into this Warp Prism. They're not really moving just yet, but DesRow is trying to establish a 4th base in the bottom right-hand corner. He's got quite a few of those high
Hellions
Templars
going into the 3rd base of DesRow. This is exactly what Yoshi wants to be doing, getting all the probes to clump up here. There is Photon Overcharge, but the large number of Hellions is just go to probes. It's just piling right up, lining them up right there for the Hellions to take out. 19 probes lost for DesRow. That is huge. That is what Yoshi needs to be able to stay up in this game like this. And he's starting to get more and more of an income advantage, 1,600 to 1,100, and probably about 20-ish% more gas than DesRow right now. So as long as he can play his game and kind of stay back, turtle, with the income advantage, he's going to get to where he wants to be.
So medevac is moving across the map. It is spotted by a probe, but not a whole lot is moving to try and prepare to engage. He is kind of repositioned. Oh, that Immortal's moving away. Now he's warping in 3 Zealots as these Hellions are dropping.
Yeah, I think the Zealot's going to do a good job of trapping them right back here. Not going to get a whole lot done. The medevac is going to get out of there with 3 of them, so not too big of an investment there. 3 Immortals scanned and are found here by Yoshi. So, I mean, this is starting to look a little bit scary. DesRow has set up a 4th base here on the right. He has 3 Templar defending it. He does still have vision throughout most of the map. Doesn't really have a ton here on the side, so there is a decent little path there that Yoshi could use to get some units down to that 3rd base, but he does not know about it yet.
Yoshi does retake his 4th base and is immediately trying to put down his command center wall to try and force where DesRow is able to attack from.
Yeah, and I feel like last game the big pressure he put on really kind of pulling Yoshi all kinds of different directions was really kind of detrimental to him, but DesRow's letting Yoshi play his game a little bit more.
Well, I mean, part of the reason, I think, is because there's so many bases that are really just easily defensible based on the geography of this map. You know, they're all right up against the back right corner, and it's really hard to traverse between those, and the attack paths are a lot fewer.
Yep, now Yoshi's got his sensor towers up, so he's going to be able to tell when the army of DesRow is moving around, and, you know, with the range of those sensor towers, it really gives him all the notice he needs to see what's coming in. I see in chat someone looking for the upgrades. 3-3 is done for DesRow, as well as +2 attack for the mech of Yoshi. And +3 is on its way for the mech as well as vehicle plating level 1. And this, oh man, this command center wall here is just doing the work here for Yoshi. He's going to eventually lift it up, but it's really slowing these Immortals down and coming in here. But he can't decide what he wants to do with these.
Immortals coming in from the left and the right now, sandwiching in between these tanks. They're not really sure which way to go. Oh my goodness, so many storms going down on those tanks, and this tank army is just getting destroyed by these Immortals and marching right on in here.
Wow, DesRow really doing a nice wraparound there, but that EMP took out all the shields on almost every single one of those Immortals. But it just does not even matter. Immortals do so much damage to the mech units of Terran.
Yep, so he's going to have to lift up that orbital command and scurry it on away. Yoshi building engineering bays just as quickly as he possibly can, trying to build or buy every second he can get to try and get more units out on the field.
Yeah, honestly, with what he has here, I'm not sure what he could build that would really do much against this number of Immortals. I mean, we're talking like 20 Immortals here. So there is no number of tanks that he could build that would be able to defend this off. He'd have to start making Marines 20 at a time.
And all of these SCVs, I mean, look at that count of SCV kills, 50 plus now as this continues. All the SCVs are trying to huddle in the corner, and now the main
couple storms that are going to come down here. They're going to be pretty sick. Oh, nice tank shots there. Oh, feedbacking every single one of those Templar. So no shields left on any of those Immortals, and there are a couple tanks there pretty well defended. But now, I mean, we're talking DesRow is going to be on 6 bases here shortly, as he has 2 more bases coming up. Yoshi's still producing tanks pretty quickly here, but that income differential is certainly switched into DesRow's favor now.
And we've also got about a food differential of about 100 supply, so that's going to make a big deal too.
And especially the shields of these Immortals are just regenerating as he's standing out here. And the tank's going to move out a little bit, but I mean, honestly, all these Immortals have to do is just kind of walk right up here. Oh, so many SCVs walking right past those Immortals too. And Yoshi, GG. So this is going to be a 2-0 victory for DesRow. Finally, the kryptonite for the mech Yoshi has been found. I wasn't quite believing it right off the bat. DesRow seemed very confident going up. 2 Masters players, DesRow versus Yoshi, and he was like, "Nope, this is gonna be no problem. I got it figured out. I think I know what to do," and that's why he's a good coach.
That's right. Yep. So he figured it out. He took Yoshi down 2-0. That means DesRow is going to be moving into the semifinals, and we'll be facing up against Yoshi or Winter, right?
I think so.
Yeah, he'll be going up against Winter tomorrow.
Yep, and that is going to be certainly the match that everyone wants to see, so definitely stay tuned for that. That is going to be the last stream match of the day, but don't go anywhere yet because we are going to grab an interview here with DesRow real quick before we sign off, and then we'll have some programming notes to tell you for tomorrow, as we're going to have the semifinals and finals of this grand event right here, and we'll tell you all about that in just a second. So we're going to take a brief break while we wrangle up DesRow to have a chat. Stay with us.